It says waiting for stream. Oh, there we are. It's just slow today, just very slow. Okay. Hi everyone, if you're watching a recording, do fast forward 1 minute. We're about a minute behind. Why? Because I was busy helping Andy try to find his fantasy football magazine for the year, so he's ready to go. You know, they're starting to, what do you guys do? Draft. They're starting to draft here in the next week. It's a thing, right? The draft starts next week, 2 weeks, in 2 weeks. And he's got to prepare, you know. So I'm making sure that I'm showing little support to my honey, my producer, who's always in my ear when I am doing this live. And, you know, throwing him a little bit of love, aren't I, honey? Yeah, so. All right, so here we are. It's 1 o'clock on Monday. Today is Makeover Monday. Glad to be back from being gone for the last week. It was great being gone. The weather was iffy up there in Door County, and connection was definitely not exactly available. So, but in the end, it turned out that it would have been a little bit challenging to have come live from the Plein Air Festival, because, you know, I really didn't understand what it was. So let's talk about that for half a second. So the Plein Air Festival up in Door County has been going on, I think we decided it was over 20 years. And what they have is they have artists from all over the country coming in to participate in their festival. See, anytime I've ever been to an art festival, the everybody comes to just one area and they set up tents and they put up things for sale, and, you know, maybe they're demoing what they what their art is, you know, by making it and whatnot and showing that. And that's what I thought I was going to be walking into, but no, that's not at all what is happening out there. What's happening out there is all these artists are invited to come into town, and Door County, if you haven't been up there, is all the way up at the very, I think that's how you're going to say it, at the tip top there of the peninsula. It's really pretty. You're surrounded by a lot of water and a lot of pretty scenery. So they're invited to come up, and then they sort of place these artists all over town, and they're literally just out there painting, drawing, sketching, whatever it is their 2D art is, and they're working along. But where we ended up going was we went to 2 locations that they were at, and it was right next to some beautiful galleries. I think one was called Wood Earth? Anyway, Woodcraft maybe? Anyway, so it was a beautiful barn, really old. It's probably a couple centuries, this barn that they have built into a gallery. And they're showing all kinds of artwork there, and I'm sure some of the artists were in those galleries. And then we went to another one, can't remember the name either, Plum something. Anyway, and they were basically doing the same thing, and the artists were scattered out in the fields looking over some really great scenery, and each one is doing something different and different perspectives. That was just really interesting to watch. I'll post some of the pictures when I remember on my Instagram, if you're following me there. That's QFomGray on Instagram. And but it wouldn't have been like a great festival walkthrough anyway, because it's not like any festival I've ever been in. So that was just really interesting and nice. So if you ever get the opportunity to be up in Door County during July, it's a great time to take a look and see what's going on up there. Like I said, it's a lot of fun and really interesting. Some really great art. You know, I was pretty impressed with the galleries that we went to. There was a nice, really high-end or upscale collection, but it's not even about being upscale. It's about being good. It's just really good art. Because, you know, sometimes you walk through and you're just like, gosh, they think this is art, but I know it's all perspective. And we've been talking a lot about that this last week while I was visiting with friends up in Wisconsin. And, you know, it's really funny, too. I had some friends as I was driving home yesterday go, boy, how many friends do you have up in Wisconsin? And as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we have like a dozen friends up in Wisconsin. It's just sort of different for being out here in Ohio. But hey, that's what you get when you've been visiting Wisconsin for like the last 15 years. You acquire friends. Okay, so that's my story from the weekend. What are we doing today? Today, as I said, we're doing Makeover Monday, and it is the Crescendo bracelet that we are making over. So this is what we had. Oops, let's see. Can I get that to turn around? This is what we did last year. And this was part of the first 5 projects. If you've been following along today, this is week 72. So 72 weeks ago, in the first week, I actually did 5 lives in 5 days, and this was one of them. And if you are still interested, it is up there. As you know, all the downloads on these projects are available on our website at theurbanbeater.com. You can just search under the name of the project, and you'll find the download for it. But 72 weeks ago, that first week, we did a little special. All 5 projects were available for $20, and it was sold as a 1-week thing. So that said, since I'm making over the Crescendo bracelet, I'm adding the instructions onto that collection. And because there was another one that I did, can't remember, I think it was Cornered that I did. But anyway, so I added that already. If you had purchased it before, you can still get that download, and it's free to you because you've already bought it once. And for those of you who haven't purchased it now, you get 7 downloads with that instead of just the 5. And if I revisit any more of those, we'll just keep adding them on. So there, that's the story. Okay, so it's the Crescendo bracelet, and we are making them into, I'm calling them the Crescendo earrings. So we're remaking them into the earrings. So they look like that. Last year, though, too, I just want to point out, these were the earrings that we did last year. So you can see where it's very similar but different. But it just really speaks to there's so many different ways that you can manipulate this particular design to make it your own. Okay, so let's get started. I'm actually working with silver today because I'm making it for a friend of mine. Okay, so I am using 16 gauge sterling silver wire and some 18 gauge fine silver wire to make the granules in the middle. And you can use 18 gauge if you want something a little bit lighter. Okay, so this is my 18 gauge fine silver for the granules. All right, you'll need a bench block today. That's sort of optional. You'll need a chasing hammer, a pair of side cutters. A really nice flush cutter like the Lindstrom's is going to make your life a lot easier. A file, metal file, a pair of round nose pliers, or a pair of multi-looping pliers. I like the multi-looping pliers especially for making earrings because it helps make things consistent, okay? And then a bracelet bender. If you don't have a bracelet bender, you can definitely use your ring mandrel for something to shape around, or if you have like a 1-inch dowel rod or something like that would work too. Okay, so let's get started. A ruler would be nice so you can measure what's going on here. Let's see, so I'm going to make mine a little bit larger. I'm going to go to 1 3/4 inch on the 16 gauge wire, and we're going to cut that twice. Oops. Like so. And then I'm going to hammer the bottom, about 1/8 of an inch of the bottom of the wires. You can do it on one side, you can do it on both sides. It just gives it a little bit more dimension, and I've really grown to like that look because it just makes it a little bit more interesting on the end when you go to bend that. Okay, so I'm just going to sit here and hammer that just a little bit. Oops. So remember, when you're hammering, don't tilt your hammer like this. Make sure it's nice and flat, up and down. And I'm going to do about 1/8 or so of each end, and making sure that I'm working on the same plane when I'm doing that. So don't go churning your wire. So yesterday, while I was on the way back, I had an opportunity to stop in to visit with our friend Janet Libby, and she let me do a recording of her studio. Pretty interesting stuff. I actually learned a few things about setting up a studio, and we'll be making changes definitely for the next studio that I build to add on what she's done in her studio. It's pretty cool. So I can't wait to share that with you. Probably be, I'm thinking sometime in September, maybe August. We'll see. Okay, so I hammered the ends. Actually, this one needs a little bit more. And if you have any sharp edges, do file them down just a little bit. Okay, so just hammering it, just filing it. I have some sharp edges. I'm hammering it down to at least half of its thickness. Okay. All right, I'm going to pull out my multi-looping plier, and on the very smallest one, I'm going to make a loop. Really tight loop. Like so. Whoa. If you're having a hard time with the wires, then go ahead and anneal it. But I know you just hammered it, which makes it really hard. So do anneal it if you need to. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to bend the other end in the opposite direction to create an S shape. Okay. So here, instead of just making a tight turn with my hands, I'm going to pull on it. Let's see how well I do. You see? I'm pulling, 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 just to make a curve. And then at the end there, I'm going to make a really tight turn. But you can see where my hands are here? I'm pushing out on it just to give more of a bow, I guess you can say. And my S is coming together, like so. Again, you see my thumb? I'm pushing out on it. And you can do this as tight as you want. Like so. Okay. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to do the other one just to keep my work consistent instead of making all my bends in one shot. Wow. See how I'm doing that? I'm just being really slow and gentle, and I keep moving my hands out because I want to see what I've done here and make sure that it is nice and even. Okay. There we go. Much better. If you have some bow opening plier, what am I thinking? If you have a bending plier, you can use that. I probably should have used it first, but I normally don't do it this way. I'm actually going to take this and I'm going to put it on my dowel rod. Okay, so I made a funky bend. A lot of you guys will have made this mistake in the past. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my nylon nose pliers. I'm going to show you how to fix that. Okay. In class, I get this a lot. Why don't my bends look like yours? Well, you know, sometimes you screw up. So bend it back out, like so. Okay, I keep losing my earpiece. Hold on a second. Okay. And just bend it back. Tools. I need tools. Where are my pliers? There we go. There it is. You see? It's much better. I've lost that sort of funky bend I had here. And I'm gonna bend this some more. And I'm doing this very slowly and very gently because I don't want to create any kinks. Okay? Same thing here. I just want a nice, gentle curve. Pretty good. Okay. And then this one got torqued out. I don't know if you can see that. See that? So I'm gonna bend it back and make it nice and flush. Same thing here. There we go. And I want a little bit more of a, how do I want to put it? And more of a curve on that. So we're going to put this back in. Actually, I'm going to pull out a round nose plier and put this back in. And we're going to bend it down like so. I'm just making a shape. And again, what you'll do here is you're just going to make a shape that makes you happy. I'm being very particular because I'm giving these away to a friend instead of just making a sample. You know, when I'm making a sample, I do have a tendency to just throw it out there. Throw caution to the wind. Okay. Yeah. And if you're really paying attention, you'll see how I'm being very gentle with my wires so that I'm not marring everything up. There you go. Okay, how did you end up shorter? I cut you the same size. Let's see, why are you a little shorter? Ooh, see that? Way shorter. What happened? I cut you the same size. So I thought. Okay. So what I thought was the same size apparently is a little bit more challenging. We're going to bend that some more. Let's see if we... All right, we'll see you, Deborah. Deborah's signing off. Okay, so clearly I screwed up when I cut this, okay? So let's talk about fixing that because that's way too long. It's not the same size. So how am I going to fix it? I'm going to pull it back out. I'm going to snip it off. It's not that much, but again, because I'm giving it to a friend, I want to make sure that these are really nice. Andy just made a joke in my ear, and I'm not even going to say what it is. Okay, I'm going to say what it is. Andy just asked me, how do I know? How do I know that her ears are the same size? Ha ha. Okay, so I just bent it out, and I'm going to hammer that flat again. We'll give it a little quick file just to take off the rough edges. Okay, let's give that another try. This wire is going to be hard. There we go. Okay, watch, I probably made it too short. Ooh, okay, so we're close. I think I need to bend this forward a little bit. It's a lot closer. I see Gail's remark there. Are yours, Andy? Are your ears the same size? I'm gonna have to go up and take a measurement. Oh. We won't talk about what else is not the same size. Okay. Wow. That's like way shorter. I'm still a little bit off. Let me see, how far off am I? Actually, I'm not. There we are. Okay. Okay, there we are. Pretty happy. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to make 2 bends to go on the to go on the outside of these. So I'm going to cut this wire into, I think we're going to go with, let me see, 1 inch. Yeah. I've got a couple inches here. I'm going to cut this actually just a little. I feel like it's going to go just a little shorter than 1 inch. Yeah, we're going to go with just shorter than 1 inch. Let's see if I can actually cut these evenly. Hello. I want to cut off that bevel on the end and cut that. Okay. These I'm definitely going to put into my bending pliers. So the question was, couldn't the length difference be not from the cut, but from variable hammering? I would say yes, except if I look really closely, the hammering was pretty close. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's see if you can see that. We'll zoom in. And actually, where's that little offcut? Yep, here's my offcut, and you can see how, wait, you can't see that. I need a pair of tweezers. Okay. You can see the thickness is the same. It's pretty much the same everywhere I go. So I really think I screwed that up. Okay. With the cut. Okay, so here, I'm gonna just put this right back in here. I made a bend, not quite as bent as I'd like to be, but this is nice that I can hold it right in here and just make a deeper bend. Again, you can put this around a dowel rod if you want. Actually, I think I'm gonna put it around a dowel rod. Sometimes the bracelet bending pliers aren't quite curved enough for me, but they do make a nice start. Okay, so I'm just looking and making sure that this is the same. You can see it's slightly off. We're going to fix that. Use whatever tools I need to fix it. I think I made this a little bit too deep, so I'm going to put it back in here and straighten it out. Pretty close. Okay. Ooh. Wow, I need a lot more bendy. It's been a while since I made them. I'm going to bend it right around, like so. And continuing to check and making sure that these are similar. Actually, I want to work in opposites, like so. A little more, just a little more. this time I'm going to use this. So I have the bend up here, but I'd like it to be more down here, so it's easier for me to pull out now my chain nose and push down on it. Notice I'm pushing on the wire as opposed to pulling on it. I feel like I have a little bit more control if I do it that way. You see? So now I have this really nice curve that comes out. Yes, I know. Measure twice, cut once. I know. And what happened there? I'm going live. I'm moving a lot faster than I should be. Okay, so then the next key to this, if you're really paying attention, is right in here. You see how we don't have a great connection? Fix it. So I'm going to start with cutting it and then I'll file it. So you want to cut it to the angle of the wire to match the wire. You may need to file it a little bit. Okay. A little bit more in to the wire. Like so. Just, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to file it. Same thing here. I'm filing to the inside of that wire, just to take off a little bit more. Paying attention to which side is up, which side is down. You see how much tighter that was? That came in really nicely. So this one needs to be fixed a little bit. But these are the little details that you want to pay attention to when you're doing this kind of work that will make it just a little bit nicer. And I'm going to show you again the difference here. You see, a lot of people when they're working, you see their work. You can, again, having been to art shows and whatnot, you'll see that it's not great when they do it like this. You see, so much nicer to have a transition. Okay, so here, do the same. We'll cut it. So that was the top. This needs to be, I gotta think about how this, that one was cut so much nicer. And this one needs to go that way. Still a little bit more there. And you thought this was going to be easy today, huh? You're like, oh, that's a simple design. I can get it right there, no problem. But it's in these little details that will separate you from everyone else. Is taking the time out to recognize these little joints that just refines your work, right? Okay. I'm actually pretty happy with that. I was really much more concerned about this one because down here I can always file after I have soldered, okay? And this one. Pretty happy. All right, let's solder it. So you're going to use either hard or medium solder here. We have two joints to do, so you want to start with hard or medium, and then we'll go to medium or easy. If you are doing copper, just use copper solder. Okay, move out, grab some tweezers. Actually, I'm thinking I want to do this on, lost it. Where are we? I think I want to do this, oh, here we are, with my honeycomb block. That way it won't move on me. So we'll set it up. Like so. Should hold steady. This one, I'm going to do both of them, set them both up, and just be done with it. So what's sort of fun too on this project is you can change up the color all you want. So if you want to do copper like in the original picture, you can, or you can do silver like I'm doing. And I'm just going to put a little bit of solder. I'm just taking the wire and putting a little bit of solder on the end. Again, no need to smear like peanut butter. Just put a little tiny bit, you see that? A little tiny bit on each end. Put it right in there, like so. If you want to, you can put another pin on this side just to hold it in place, but I think I'm okay. By the way, I get this question a lot, is how long does solder paste last? It really shouldn't dry out. This bit of solder paste has been here for a couple weeks at least. So a little less solder. So the less solder you use, the cleaner the joint will be. It'll be much nicer for you. Oops. Okay, way too much. Alright, we're going to push it right up to the top, just like that one, making sure that there's a connection here too. So everybody is touching. Good. Okay. Get out some fire tweezers. I really got to figure out how to tighten up the the rotation on this thing. Alright, because I'm doing silver, we're going to heat the whole thing. Everybody needs to get happy hot. Just like so. And then I'm going to heat right at the joint. Once it all gets hot, heat right at that joint. Remember, we are using butane. It heats a little bit differently than your acetylene or your propane torches, which you're going to have to keep moving if it's acetylene or propane. The solder went there. I'm going to move down here. Heat everything and then heat that joint. Come on. There we go. Go. Happy, happy. Okay, happy. Alright, don't touch these pegs. They're hot. They are steel. Even if you have the ceramic ones. I know they make ceramic ones. I don't even know why. But even if you have the ceramic ones, they're going to be hot too. Okay, right into the pickle they go. Set this aside. We're going to make a couple of granules here. So depending on the space that you have in between the wires is how big of a granule you'll want. So I'm just going to cut, I think we're going to go with a 1/2 inch. And see how that goes. It's best to start small because you can always add more wire and make it bigger. Okay, so 2 pieces, 1/2 inch. I'm going to hammer it gently so it doesn't roll away from me. Just like so. And because these pieces are a little long, I'm just going to bend it into a U. It'll be a little bit easier to granulate than a long piece of wire. Sometimes they sort of get away from me. And we're just going to put heat right at the blue tip. Until it forms into a ball. You can use a solder board or you can use a magnesia block. I feel like everything's cold today. It's not happening so quickly. And notice I'm not doing this. A lot of people do this. You don't need to. Just stay right there. Focus your heat. Come on. I'm getting just anxious. I'm moving it along. Okay, good. And before it completely gets cold, you want to pick it up so it doesn't stick to the board. Oh, okay. There's the other one. All right. Quench it. Let's go pull the other piece out of the pickle. So I quenched it, set aside. Make sure that there's no residue on the bottom of them. So this makes about a 3, with 18 gauge at half an inch, it's about 3 millimeter granules. All right, the pickle. There we are. I hope they fit. Let's see. Which direction are we going? We're going like this. Yep. We're going like this. And we're going like... Huh, what did I do? This and this. There we are. Okay. Let's see if it fits. Well, it doesn't fit in between, but it fits on top, and I'm okay with that. So if your granule is a little bit too big, it's okay for it to sit on top, right? So let's come in a little closer so you can see what I've got going on. Go to the middle there, like so. Where's my other granule? There it is. All right, tweezers. And I'm just going to dip it in a little bit of either easy solder or medium solder, which I'm out of. Hold on, gotta grab some more here. And as I'm just gonna dip it right into my solder, it's a little bit easier for me. Okay, put right in the middle like so. Do it for this guy too. Is that in the center? I think so. I'm gonna go with that. Move him up just a teeny bit. Okay. Solder at the same time. This one too. Good. We're going to quench and put it right in the pickle. All right, so while it's pickling, let's make a pair, well, actually I don't need to make a pair of earring wires because I already have a pair of earring wires, but for those of you who don't have earring wires, I'll just show you how to make it while it's pickling. Let's see, you'll want either 22 or 20 gauge wire. The multi-looping plier is going to make life a lot easier. All you have to do is put on your multi-looping plier, make a really nice tight bend like so, and then move it down to the large one. And depending on the shape of your earring wire, this is just a standard little wire like so. Cut it and give it a little bend backwards like that. And if you like, you can go ahead and hammer this area, and it makes it really nice and rigid. Make sure that you file the ends. All right, let's see what's happening in the pickle. Ooh, so pretty. Okay, don't forget, make sure that you rinse everything that's coming out of the pickle. We'll dry it. We'll take my hair out of it. Okay, so here on the end, you see I have a little bit of a burr. That's okay. I'm going to just take out a nice needle nose file here. And we're just file it down. Just to make it nice. And thus a smooth transition. You could have earlier continued to cut it if you prefer until it made a transition like it did at the top. Okay, but I wanted to show you both ways of doing this. Both ways works. Now you didn't have to make this perfect up here either, but my issue with that was that I knew I wasn't going to be able to get my file in there to file that down. So I wanted that to be really nice. Once you're done with this, you can throw it in the tumbler if you like. It'll get really nice and shiny. Or you can take out your buffing wheel and do this, but I'm going to do this an easier way today. I'm going to use my Pro Polish pad, and I'm going to get this really nice and shiny with my Pro Polish pad. Yeah. Make sure that if you have wet pieces to dry your file, or else it's going to rust. If you want to patina this, you can patina it with a little black max, or you can put it in some pickle, whatever you like. So, you see, Pro Polish pad, nice and shiny. You can see the difference to this one. I'm going to come in even closer for you so you can see. It's starting to buff up. You can see that? Okay. So this is the poor man's polishing, is how I like to put it. You know, they're great for these little jobs that you don't have to pull out the whole big buffer unless you already have it set up to do it. You don't have to pull out your tumbler or anything. You can get it really to a nice shine just by doing it by hand. And how long do these last? You're going to hang on to these until they're like torn apart, not just when they're black, but when they're completely like torn up is how long you can hang on to these Pro Polish pads. Okay, so you can see there is a difference in these two. Not so much on the camera there, as I'm looking at it. But anyway. So, any questions out there? Just to let you know, all these tools are available at theurbanbeater.com if you are interested. And the download is going to be under the Crescendo bracelet. So, if you didn't buy it last year, you're going to get both last year and this year's project. Okay? It's sort of funny. I was just like looking at the copyrights that I put on the instructions, like, oh, I have to change the year too. Yes, I know. We went from 2020 to 2021, and we're more than halfway through. Can you believe that? Oh my gosh, it's August. Anyway, so what's going on this week? This week we have Wine on Wednesday. It's on Wednesday. I'm excited for that because I'm going to be working on my bench. I need some time off with a few drinks and a few projects to be working on and hanging out with my friends online. So if you want to join us for Wine on Wednesday, I'll post the link here probably tonight if it hasn't already posted. I can't remember if I automated it yet. Anyway, and then on Wednesday we will also be back live for UFO Wednesday, I'm going to be working on, I think, Pam's project. And then we have on Friday another Zoom along, because I've been out of town and I'm playing catch up and not quite ready to get back to work quite yet. I got other things to work on. So Zoom along, if you guys are not familiar, we're just hanging out at the bench. It's really, during COVID especially, but even during regular times, it's really hard to just be sitting at your bench all by your lonesome and working. So it's an opportunity just to have some company while you work at your bench, and also an opportunity if you join us, ask questions, A, of one another, and B, of me, if you have something that you haven't been able to work through. I'd be more than happy to answer questions and help with some inspiration maybe. But it's free to everyone, and the Zoom link will be posted here in the next day or so, okay? Anyway, that's it for me today. Look, it's all nice and shiny. I'm so happy with it. And add your not jump rings, but your earring wires, and then you're done. That's the Crescendo earring today. All right, make sure that you're facing it forward like I just faced it backwards. Ha! There we are. Face them forward. There's my Crescendo earrings. All right. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks for joining me live. It's Monday. It's a beautiful day outside. Can't wait to go unpack and maybe go do something outside for a hot minute, or even just work on the deck. That'll be good today. Anyway, so thanks for liking the post. Thanks for sharing all of our posts. And hi to Twitch and YouTube and Facebook out there, as we're simulcasting on 4 channels today. We'll be back again on 4 channels on Wednesday. Until then, have a great week. And yeah.